Hello there, I'm Ewan McPherson, and I'm really pleased to be on that Mental Ginger show. And it's not naked attraction. Please put your clothes back on. Thank you.
All right, troops. This episode of That Mental Ginger Show is recorded at Scuffed Studios. If you're looking to do podcasts, music, or any creative passions, these guys will have you covered. For more information, contact Scuffed Studios at scuffed.studios.gla@gmail.com or find them on Facebook or Instagram and drop them a message. Scuffed Studios, to nurture your creative passions. Ewan, thank you so much for coming on That Mental Ginger Show.
My pleasure. This is my first podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
I seem to be breaking a lot of podcast virginities lately.
Well, you have taken mine.
That's okay. Like, I can just add it up. It's better than the actual fucking virginities I've taken, which is a total of 0.
Can I just check? I am okay to swear on this, yeah?
I encourage it. It's like, apparently you can't swear within the first minute, though.
Really?
Well, according to YouTube now, if you swear within the first minute, they can actually demonetize you. But, so, yeah, I'm pretty
35, 34.
Yeah, I just slowly count it down in my head, like, and now I can say the C word. I never usually say C. That's the one word that I don't like saying at all. It's like I don't like it at all. I refuse to say it. But every other one's free game. But I've had to rein it in around my kids. Well, because I don't like swearing around them. But Alison still, we're trying to condition that out of her. Well, and the boys keep going, Daddy, Mummy said bad word. And I'm like, uh-oh. And I'm like, time to check Alison for it. And she's like, I know. And I'm like, well, stop blooming saying it then.
I probably am not going to say anything worse than panty girdle, but I mean, there you go.
Was that panty girdle or panty gurgle? Because that could be an interesting niche.
Well, both could actually work, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I don't even know what a panty girdle is, in fact.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out when we talk about your origin story.
Okay.
That's the one thing we like to talk about first. One thing we've got in common is we all have an origin. So, please tell my audience your origin story.
Okay. Well, it was something to do with a man and a woman. No. What can I say? So I'm 49
we'll start with the basics.
Now.
Where were you born?
I was born in Paisley, believe it or not, but grew up on the Glasgow's posh south side.
There's such a thing?
Yep, believe it or not. I'm a product of it. Grew up, obviously, with Stammer and being very much in the closet, very camp child. I was basically out in the wilderness for a good few years, I was not very active or very creative. I was very much living in the moment, was getting my wage, going out, partying a hell of a lot and seeing a lot of bands playing. And it kind of took, weirdly enough, you're obviously familiar with mental health issues, but it took a nervous breakdown in my job to start doing stand-up. During a very bleak period, I saw a stand-up course being advertised by a previous guest of this show, I believe John O'Brien.
Obi, yeah.
Obi, yeah.
It's like, because I got checked for his thumbnail at first. It's like, can you change that to Obi and not John O'Brien? Because people know me as Obi. And I'm like, well, I've called you John in it as well, so you're kind of fucked now, mate.
The problem is I stammer a lot with people's names that begin with vowels, and I can only get round it by using things such as bridging words such as yo, Obi, which sounds like I'm desperately trying to be cool.
It's like it was like a yo beat.
Yeah, it's not good.
So if you tried to say like Andrew, would that be a struggle for you?
Yes.
Right, there we go. Right, so if we were out, would you be okay with saying like, all right, Durnan? Because I used to actually get called that by my mates, and now I'm like, did any of them have a stammer? And that's why I didn't say my name.
I probably have to say right Durnan. There you go. A lot of people stammers, they try to use Bridget words, and also there is word avoidance.
All right, well, tell me a bit more about it, because as we discussed kind of off air, I've got a friend, Katie Slavin, who runs Shining Stars Theatre School for kids with additional support needs, and she has a stammer, and she's not really talked about it as much. I think that is actually the most ironic thing, is to get someone with a stammer to talk about stammering. Well, I just think that's like the cruelest joke that somebody up there must have played. But what is it like? Do you know what causes stammers? Just enlighten me. This is something you'll find out about me. I'll pick up on something and I'll just zero in on it because I want to know more about it, and I'll ask dumb questions, but I'm not intentionally trying to be a prick.
That's your job.
It's just so I can educate.
Okay, well, as the official representative as the stammering population, yeah, it's lots of different theories about what causes people to stammer, and nobody has actually come up with the correct one. Some people say it's like a trauma that people have had in the past that causes it. My mother was convinced a school teacher who was bullying triggered it in some kind of way, and that's where it started to go down. My speech began to have problems. What they do know is your brain chemistry changes when you have a stammer.
Right.
And that is something that is quite prominent. There are people out there that will go, oh, it's just nerves. I knew of a taxi driver, one of my contacts I have in the Scottish Stammering Network was in a taxi one time and he was explaining to the taxi driver what they did, because taxi drivers like to ask questions.
Oh, yeah. That's why I've not had any of them on.
And the taxi drivers, oh, that's just nerves. And actually, it's a lot more complex than that.
You have to realise a lot of taxi drivers are on cocaine. So that's probably why they just think like that. Like their brains affect with the amounts of cocaine that they've done.
That explains the driving of some of them I've had. Okay.
Yeah, where they take you down all the side routes there more money. Like, but a quicker way is just go straight. Oh, this is a shortcut that takes 20 minutes longer and costs you about 30 quid more.
I suppose that's why they're going down the white lines in the centre of the street rather than the side of the road.
That's why they're trying to go 70 miles an hour down a 20 is plenty.
That's it. I will also say as well that obviously I'm not stammering that much. The weird thing about having a stammer, and this is something I put into my stand-up set, is that it's a well-known fact, the more stammerers talk about their stammer, the less they stammer. And it's really strange. I make a joke about saying that it's like coming out. I'm also a gay man. So it's like coming out in reverse. You know?
It's like, so you're essentially going back in the closet stammering-wise.
More or less.
Well, we talked a bit about, stammers were caused by trauma, one of the conditions, and where you didn't come out right away. Do you think maybe that could have had something to do with it? Like that was a trauma hiding your real self? This is me trying to be all Frasier style on you, but I'm curious.
Okay, Andrew, if at the end of this interview I'm sucking my thumb and rocking backwards and forwards, we're going to have words, okay? You'll hear from my lawyer.
I would be disappointed if I hadn't mentally broken someone by the end of this podcast.
Like, why am I here?
What's the meaning of life? Why am I talking to a ginger about this?
Sorry, what was the question? Oh, yeah, question. I know now. Yeah, there's lots of reasons. Obviously, I didn't come out till sort of late in life, till I was 27. And again, I make a joke because somebody, actually a good, well-meaning friend, did ask, do you think that was because you're stammer? I was like, yeah, I started coming out at the age of 23,
Yeah.
I kind of get stuck. No,
So he's actually that, and I've asked you the reverse. Do you think you're stammering because you had to hide who you were?
It probably wouldn't have helped, obviously, the overall happiness, but my stammer did not disappear when I came out. So there is that, and it's something that will continue.
Yeah. Well, when did you realise that performing, and doing that kind of this type of thing stopped the stammer? What?
It doesn't necessarily stop it, but it helps reduce it and contain it. And I think as well, when I was doing Obi's course, we're also looking for material. I was trying to make a joke because I was doing martial arts at the time. And my whole initial set was about being a gay man trying to fit into a machismo world of jiu-jitsu. And I would do it on stage dressed in my gi, the outfit.
Yeah.
Dressed like one of Vladimir Putin's wet dreams. And
to all the people in Russia that watch this, I've just lost all my money.
Yeah, that's joke's not aged well.
I think it'll actually age better in time.
So I was doing it, but I noticed I was stammering that much. And even though I was making the odd joke about my stammer, it wasn't quite working. And then one day I was, when I was doing the open mics, I sat back and thought, there's a lot of things that have happened to me as a stammerer that has given me so much material. So not only is there things about having a stammer that, you know, you can joke about, but it's also, and this is what I love about stand-up comedy, and you probably notice yourself when you've been doing it, talking about mental health issues, it's a way of owning your issues, and you almost like compartmentalize it. I'm not even sure that's a word, but
that is a word. Don't doubt yourself. That's my job.
That's good. So yeah, there is that too. And going up on stage and talking about a stammer, even though it's the worst fear ever, you get to the end of your set and it is a wonderful feeling. It's like you have owned your stammer.
Yeah.
And it's just brilliant.
Yeah. It's also good. It's a good way to educate people is through comedy. Because a lot of people have asked me when I did it, like, why are you talking about mental health issues in a comedic way? And I'm like, because how else are people going to listen? Well, in a way, if you're so serious about it, a lot of people can switch off and be like, well, I've heard all this before. I'll just talk to a therapist or this or that. But if you're making like the jokes about it, saying, you know, like I've tried to kill myself 5 times since I was 14, which is proof I'm the ultimate choke artist.
Right.
What? And they'll laugh at that. They'll be like, so he's fucked up, but at least he owns it and makes a joke about it. It's not. And then I did one that was about like you can have suicidal ideation, which is where you want to kill yourself, but you don't actually have any plans to do it. So then I would say, so of course me doing stand-up comedy was a fantastic idea. Well, and they're like, oh, you're like, see, all the ones that have got it just got that joke.
Do you find as well that if you've performed live and you talk about mental health issues, you will get people coming up to you afterwards going, oh, that's just like me?
I've not done that many to actually have that.
You will in time. You will in time.
No, I've got no gigs planned, and I'm going to keep it that way. Hopefully, maybe for a little while.
Really?
Yeah. No,
I'm not going to see you.
I've got at the time of this recording, I have one gig planned, and that's it. Well, I'm not too fussed on it,
right,
at the minute. But
you've got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Well, I need to find fish first. Well, I need to find out how to use a frying pan.
What I was going to say was actually, it's been 3 times now, and it's been some brilliant almost feeling when it happens. People have come up to me and said, I had a stammer when I was younger. Your set meant a lot to me.
Oh, wow.
I had to go to speech therapy lessons, or I had a relative that had a stammer, and, you know, we weren't actually nice to them because we kept finishing what they were trying to say. Top tip, that's a hate crime.
I didn't know that.
It's not, unfortunately. But you
said it was such belief that I was like, okay, we could get this. This could be something that we get known for. We make that a hate crime. Like, you know, calling somebody ginger that isn't ginger, that's a hate crime.
So 2 things I'd like to say about that. First of all, I told a work colleague that, and the work colleague was really annoying the hell out of me. So I did that joke, and they believe me, and they still think that's true, which is hysterical. Another thing was, unfortunately, that's not my joke. It's a stammering comedian called Aidan Green, who is fantastic. It was a bit odd to get out there and then discover that your very original idea of being a stammering comic, actually, you're one of 3.
Well, in fairness, that's 3 more than they might have expected. You should do that like a stammering stand-up. And just have, like, you know, the 3 of you there and do that, like, to maybe raise awareness for like a stammering support group. There we go. I create the shits, you disturb them.
We did have, actually, joking aside, I want to see more comics with stammers, because I think more people that do stammer will sort of emphasise the fact that there's nothing wrong with stammering. You know, all we're asking of those of people that don't have the speech issues that we have is just, can you just wait a couple more seconds? Just be patient. It's just a different way of communicating. But there's Callum Schofield down in Wales. I think he's still doing some improv, and Mark Cooper in Edinburgh. And we did a benefit for the Scottish Stammering Network, 3 stammering comics. And we also had quite a few people come on. It was fantastic. John Carruthers emceed the show.
Oh, fantastic. Man.
So, and people in the Stammer support group have actually said, you know, how the hell could you get up on stage and talk about that? That is our worst nightmare, or are you nuts? I'm kind of, well, yeah. But actually, I've been trying to encourage them, because all of them will have their own experiences or their individual stories and journeys that actually they could joke about. They've got that material there, and the stories that need to be heard.
it's the same deal with like me doing this. A lot of people like in my previous day job were like, Andrew, how can you go on a podcast and talk to people and interview these guests and be so witty and clever, yet you can't even look at a phone in the office? And I'm like, because this job sucks. What in the job I'm doing right now is what I want to do. So if you're more comfortable doing something, then it's better for you. And it's a performer's mindset where I don't think you understand it unless you're a fellow performer. Like if I said to you, like, you know, I can't answer the phone in my day job without having like 3 panic attacks and trying to throw myself out a window. But I can go on a stage in front of 500 people and be like, no, fuck it, let's do this. Only other fellow professionals in this industry would be like, I get that.
When I worked in an office where things were going really tragically wrong, I would going out tonight and doing stand-up. You know, generally most time getting people to laugh, I did bomb quite a few times. We all do as part of the journey.
Yep, definitely.
But yeah, I was coming in the next day and having to deal with just this nonsense, looking at it all going, why am I here? Why?
Yeah, you're like, it's just like, what is the point?
Yeah.
But you have started working behind the camera. That was actually how you and I met. He had very kindly asked me to be part of a project that he was working on.
Yes.
That you won funding for your charity. Actually, No Means No Worldwide. I always remember that line from working with Lawrence Tucker. So
yes.
So how did that kind of come about? What made you want to go behind the scenes?
Okay. I was a bit of a midlife crisis, let's just say. I will confess. My parents had given me an inheritance through their deaths. Like, that would be the way inheritance works. Yeah. And I was kind of thinking, God, I'd be nice to do something completely different. I've always been fascinated by film and TV, and I also had quite a few ideas for sketches, for TV programs, for horrors, etc., etc. And basically, I saw this 1-year course and started to do it. It was a big decision. It wasn't taken lightly to suddenly pack in your job, and go and do a degree, which at the age of 49, it's a big choice. It's not easy. It's what it is there. And from then, I started doing short films for a part of my course. I was doing stand-up online, and one of the other comics has been involved with No Means No Worldwide. What they do is they raise awareness of sexual violence around the world and put in strategies and work with local communities around the world to reduce sexual violence. Have been fairly successful. So I drafted up a script, got you in. And that was it. And my God, what a disaster that was in terms of filming.
Yes. So, this is the things that I want everybody to know about. Like, that's why I always encourage, like, you know, that scripts are unedited and like, this is unedited, because fuck ups do happen. And to say that they don't happen is a lie. Like, we were filming something and I was like, oh God, I think this is going to go downhill quick. And then it was like, wait, let's keep it in, because we need to know that we can also learn from the fuck ups we have. We can learn from them and do a better product. So tell them what. So how did my potential debut after 9 years being away get snatched from me?
Well, it depends. It could still happen. It could be seen as a successful debut if you like your films in soft focus.
Well, in fairness, though, I think that's what a lot of pornos do that these days.
1970s porn. Yeah, we're going to go down that route. Wasn't the best idea for a charity film. No, that was Muggins here. Went out, looked at the camera screen, thought it looked okay, and no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
it was. I got back horrified. I've since had to learn how to use functions of the camera. The good news is, not so much good news, more reassuring news is that we in our class are all making mistakes as part of our journey.
Oh yeah.
From my class, across the classroom, you will hear wails of despair, such as people going, "I filmed a portrait." Some people I know have got the reflections in the mirrors.
Yeah.
I've chopped people's heads off. Other people have just done some absolute clangers. It's hysterical. The way we go back and laugh. So yeah, but I would happily use you again.
Thank you.
There we go. You were very good to work with. It was a great laugh overall. Really... And you did eat a lot of cake. You got something for it. You ate cake.
I got carrot cake, which was brilliant. It's like cannibalism for gingers. Well, it was it was really,
and it was a massive slab, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't just a wee thin sliver.
I genuinely thought I was going to go into a diabetic coma with that icing because it was so rich, but it was so good.
I was looking at the slices you and Lauren's got, thinking, do I have to have 999 on 999 standby?
Well, I seen the slices and I was just like, he's paying, right? But yeah, it was the fact that we had to keep the one bit in relative consistency until the very last take, and it's like it just slowly kept falling apart as the morning was going on. We're like, oh, how are we gonna do this? Like, we're just trying to pat it back together with our hands. It was fantastic. Well, and then once we're like, wait, we got all the shots. Yep, can I eat this cake? Yep, Lawrence, that's yours because you've been handling it all day. And he's like, no, you can have it. You can have it.
This is just like cake porn.
Yeah, essentially
weekly now, really.
It was. Well, so we got was it Eddie McKenzie? Like to jump in for my part, I think it was. Who
also appeared in your show?
Yes.
I haven't seen.
Yes, the Brian Blessed.
I've not seen it yet. I
didn't realise how much he sounded like Brian Blessed. Like he really does. Like it's he could be Brian Blessed's voice double.
The amount of times he must have been asked to say "Gordon's alive," it's frightening.
If not, that's definitely like a market for him to be like his voice double.
Yeah, both Lawrence and Eddie were amazing to work with. They were really good. Lawrence in particular, who, yes, I do have a lot of respect for.
Yeah, I do call him the Scottish no fielding, even though he has English. But I'm like, you live in Scotland, so we're taking you. You're has no fielding.
Lawrence Tucker, who also used to be a guest on the show, he came in and he poured his unique brand of madness onto the script, and he improved it a lot. He actually redid a number of lines, and I was standing there thinking, great, he's improved my script, and I didn't know whether to congratulate him or say that's fantastic or wish him a slow and painful death. It's quite, I almost went off on that. We've just done something recently, a comedy.
Nice.
And he improved it. He really took it up so many notches, and I was just standing there going, "God, just stop it! I hate you. You're too funny." But
but it's always one of those ones you're not sure, because when I did my stage play, and the cast really improved it. They took the words and they ran with them, but did their own interpretations. I'm like, "What? How shit was my script? And you guys have just made it so amazing." And it was like when someone asked me, "Why have you not done any more scripts?" And I was like, "Because they're shit." And he's like, "Well, why was the first one so good?" I was like, "It was the cast." The cast took what I had and they ran with it. They did the work. I just got to go action cut.
Apparently, it's much easier to correct a script that's already written, so maybe you need to get a writing partner. I know that. Lawrence, I think I now have this thing where I've got an idea that I think is good. He'll write it down. Lawrence will look at it and go, this is the way it should be. And that's, that's the way it works. That's the way it works. But it's just, you just have to stop yourself going off in the huff.
Yeah, definitely. But you're where's my ambition? You're messing with my vision.
Yep. We've had these conversations,
Yeah. So what have you got coming up? Tell the followers what's coming up next for you.
Oh gee, I am having to clone myself, I think.
Well, hey.
So I am working obviously on things for my course. It'll be first of all a non-fiction documentary on your first punk gig.
Nice.
So that'll be coming up soon. On top of that, actually no, let's rewind. I'll tell a bit about that. So we've been assigned to do a documentary. We're all fans of punk. There seems to be a number of punk documentaries about Paisley, punk band in Glasgow. So a lot of punk bands in the 70s ran off to Paisley to do their gigs there at a place called The Bungalow. And we were going to do something about that, then realised everybody and their grandmothers done a documentary about punks and The Bungalow in Paisley. Yeah. So now we're doing one on the your first punk gig. So that'll be happening soon. That'll be nice because we want to see the journey of the fans rather than the bands. Going to first punk gig, getting spat at and putting safety pins through their ears or whatever. On top of that, I am making a promo documentary, a promo for the Stammer support group, the Scottish Stammering Network.
Brilliant.
So that'll be coming out soon. I've got to run away to a meeting about that afterwards. Discuss ideas. I'm also making a horror film, 5-minute, which is kind of a genre I've a little bit of a fascination about.
Yeah.
I'll tell a bit about that. It's based on a real life a story I've heard. There was a sort of bastard workman who was installing secret cameras on his female customers' flats and houses
Wow.
to pry on them. But I was thinking, what if he found out that one of them was a demon?
Hey,
So
nice one.
there you go. You heard it here first. And on top
Always
of
like a ginger exclusive.
on top of that, I also have my stand-up to do, which is going well. I've got a date in August at the Stand again.
Oh, nice.
I'm doing Paisley Pride in June, so that's good. I'm doing Oban Lesbian Weekend. That was more than a bit surprised to be asked for that one, but it turned out, look, you'll be the token man on the lineup. How could I say no?
Exactly.
How could I say I could not refuse that?
Yeah, if you're getting asked for gigs, well, and you can do them, so keep going with it, man. Well, and I've seen some of your stand up as well. What you did when you did the Friday 6 p.m. show.
Yeah.
Well, and you were emceeing it. Well, and I was like, right, well, I don't want to be that guy who comes on to a gig the week before and then never watches any other ones that you do. Well, so I went on to watch the next week's one, and well, I really loved your style and how you were.
Thank you.
How you came across, and I was like, if this is how good he is in a Zoom gig, he's got to be brilliant live. Because you came off really well. You were really, really strong, really confident.
Thank you. It's taken so long to get there, though, and it's one of the things about comedy people don't realise. It can be a lot of hard work. A lot of people have said, "Oh, it's easy, man. Just go up there, tell a funny story."
Yeah.
It's taking not just Obi, but somebody else, a guy called Des McLean, who I was taking lessons to as well, and
Viv G as well.
Viv G. To start working away. And what I love about comedy as well is the sort of creative process too. There's been a joke I've had for a year about, it's about the time where I told a lot of my gay friends on a Zoom gig that, or a Zoom night rather, that I don't like ABBA. And I just about got lynched. You could feel the heat burning from the laptop, you know.
Brilliant.
My eyebrows began to get singed, and I've been telling that joke for about a year, you know. My eyebrows get singed off, but it was only later on that last week I was thinking, why don't I make a joke about renewable energy, linking that in, and jokes for comedy can come in years and years after a set. This is why you should get back at it, man. You don't let yourself. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'll see what happens. But right now, I've said that if I get a gig and it doesn't clash, like for example, if they're willing to let me go on later, so because I look after my kids, and they're not too like kind of fussy about it. If they're not like, oh, you have to be here at this time, and you need something, and you have to do this, you have to do that. If they're not, if I can get a bit of leeway, I'll more than likely take it. As long as like my wife doesn't kick my ass for taking it like on short notice or whatever. But it's just that more kind of way. It's like with comedy, I'll pick and choose it. And I think they're just like, okay, we'll choose not to pick you. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. Well, if I go and do it, fair enough. If I get asked, and if I don't, it doesn't bother me. Well, I've got like you said, I've got other things.
There'll always be open mics for you to dip in and out of. A lot of people are really, if they want to press on, proceed with comedy, they need to do that whole route of 3 gigs a week writing while trying to hold down a job and cope with all the other things they've got to in life. You can just do the open mics, and you've got a slower journey, but still be satisfying, and just dip in and out when you can. Yeah. That's the route that's kind of working for me right now.
Yeah, well, and it's the same deal. Like, I've got all the stuff going on, like with the podcasts, with other shows, with the great opportunity that I've got coming up with like Broad TV and stuff as well. So it could be more, instead of me doing comedy gigs and being a comedian, I could always be like, well, why don't we do like stand-up nights on Broad TV? Well, Frank, that could be a potential idea. I can't remember which camera I was meant to be looking at, but Frank Frost, thanks. Right, there we go. Yeah, so Frank, if you're interested in that, we can have another talk. I have no morals and I need the money. So I know that you're a very busy man. You've got your lots of appointments to go for, especially for your staff.
Yes, bye.
Support thing. Yep.
No.
I'll ask you one question, and then you
carry on.
It's the final one that I ask all my guests. If you could give advice to anybody struggling with mental health issues at this point in time, what would that piece of advice be, and why?
Oh, good grief. I think the main thing is to talk to people. Don't be afraid to be a pain in the butt. make sure that, that you are talking to your doctor about it. That's the main thing. And try just get the words out there. Just keep. If I know myself that it's taken a little bit of a battle with the mental health service to realise that something was wrong. So don't be afraid and keep at them. Realise support services are there, and that's it.
No, it's definitely what it's. They always say that that's the kind of bog standard, which is to talk, but it's a bog standard for a reason because it works. Totally. It works to talk about it. Like if you keep it all bottled up, you're just going to go nuts. Don't get me wrong. I don't often follow my own advice. I just want other people to.
Oh, yeah. That's a me and you, kid. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a bit of a narcissism thing. It's like I won't follow my advice, but you must.
Totally.
Ewan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. When I worked with you on your project, I knew that you were a special guy. Not in that way. But it's that you're a nice person. You had good humor about you. And there was no BS with you. And
thank you.
As you'll realise coming into the industry, sometimes that is so hard to find.
It's okay. You will get a part in my film again. Now quit. Now stop.
No, I'm not intentionally kissing your ass. If you were an arsehole, I would tell you. I've done that before. But no, you're a good guy. I do wish you nothing but success. And if you are needing any kind of help or whatever, feel free to hit me up.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on here. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, and that's really the only time that you've had a proper stammer in this whole conversation. So I feel honoured that I was able to distract you from it for a little while.
That's true.
So until next time, my faithful followers, I've been Andrew Durnan. This has been Ewan McPherson. Tell my audience where they can find you on the socials.
I don't know because I'm old.
Do you have Facebook?
Actually, yeah, I've got a Twitter handle, Ewan McPherson called 1. I really should sack my creative team. And also I'm on Facebook, so look for me there. Yeah. So and any details will be in the description below with Ewan's consent, obviously. So until next time, take care. Stay safe. Bye. Bye-bye.